Hello and welcome back to Stigma with Steve. Today we're going to go through the 10 basic principles of visual design. So let's jump on in. So to start, we're going to have these intentions of learning how different devices work and how they have unique interface designs. So what looks the same on an iPhone compared to a laptop, and then what looks a little bit different as well. Then we'll explore Adobe's principles of app design, grasp the concept of Fitts law in interface design, discover techniques to reduce the cognitive load in our designs as well. So to start, let's have a look at some of the things that we need to consider. So if you have a point, line, and a shape, we're then going to look at the color that needs to happen, the typography or the fonts that are chosen, the space that you use, the balance, rhythm, and contrast, the scale, the grids and alignment, the framing, the textures and patterns, and lastly, the visual concepts. So there's a quick video there. I'll leave the link, have a look and play with that. So the points, line, and shape that you need to consider are the dots and how far away the shapes are spread apart from each other. So the most basic building block of any design. So no matter what shape you do, these are the simplest things that you need to do, but they come together to make the more complex things. So in geometry, we always consider the X and the Y coordinates. We then need to consider the color that you're going to choose. A lot of color maps are out there, which are super handy when we're trying to work out exactly what the right color is. My advice is trying to work out colors that match the mood. So if you're trying to do something cool and calming, you probably want something like a blue. If you want something exciting, you might go with yellow, and so on. So the human eye can see over 10 million different colors from red to violet. As humans, we attach colors to different meanings. So if you stop at a traffic light, we're programmed to see red meaning to stop and green meaning to go. So it's very important that we have those colors aligned. The next thing then we need to consider is the typography. So this is the fonts that you choose to put together with your text. So the typography is how your words look. And there's a whole art behind this. I personally am a big fan of Helvetica. That's the one that you'll see everywhere. It's simple and it works. But that's up to you. So using the right interface can change the banal piece of text and make it look more powerful. It can also match the theme. So if you want more of a gaming sort of aspect, you might choose a font that looks more gamey as well, rather than something that's like a sans serif or a Times New Roman. So when choosing the correct font, I'll try and stick to the classics because people already know how they look. The next thing that you need to then consider is the space. So you need to consider how each element and letter in your word relates to each other and give them the precise breathing room between each other. So that's called kerning. So if you can condense it if you need to, we might want to spread it apart. It just depends on what you want to do. This is known as negative space, and it's very handy when we're trying to work out how to place things together. If you adjust the negative space between letters, and like I just said, it is kerning. The balance, rhythm, and contrast. Sometimes you might have other words above it, and you want to sort of balance them together and highlight the one that's more important. So in this case, the awesome, you might want to highlight that. So to make the plain elements more interesting, you can consider the way that you place the elements. So making some elements heavier than others will then create that contrast and then give a bit of rhythm between the words that you're trying to do. Then the scale. So if you change the scale, it highlights what is the more important aspect of what you're trying to convey. So scaling helps you create a hierarchy. So not all elements are created equal, and this is a very simple way of showing how you want to demonstrate this. The size shows the purpose of the text. So generally, the bigger the text, the more important of the focus. Then you've got the grid and alignment. So grid, even in the chaotic design, you need to be able to choose order into the chaos. So by putting a grid over the top of it, it then helps you be able to sort of partition and then work out what needs to go where. So alignment is very important when we're trying to show the purpose of the text. Then we have the framing. So framing is trying to direct your eyes to what actually matters, and helps make your story stand out when you're trying to put it together. So try to direct the eyes to what actually matters in this image that you're trying to do. Then you can put textures and patterns over the top of it all. So textures and patterns are not always necessary, so don't just use them because you think you have to, but sometimes they can create a bit more of a purpose behind what you're trying to do. They can inject in on the negative space, and then it can also make it look more appealing. Lastly, you can have a visual concept. So a visual concept is when you design with the intent, making sure that the design aligns with the needs of your client. So making sure we understand who our target audience is first, and then picking your fonts very carefully and with purpose to align with that. So hopefully you've had a look through all that and it's been okay. Some things that you need to consider is how can understanding interface design improve your daily interaction with technology? What's one principle of interface design that you found the most intriguing, and then why was that? And then how can you apply the Fitz law to design a school website, which is what we've done before. So just there's a Kahoot there that you can play along with. Hopefully that's giving you some insight into the design principles. And thank you very much. If you do have any questions or comments, please put them down below. Trying to improve the ability of people doing Python coding, which is what the whole purpose of this channel was. And yeah, thanks again. If you've enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe, as it does help with the YouTube algorithm. And yeah, see you next time on STEAM with Steve. Adios.